Welcome, everybody, to this episode of Our Top 5. I'm your host, Jason, and with me, as always, Alice. And I am so excited to introduce my new co-host, Lee Lawson. Lee, how's it going, man?
It's going great, Jason. I am excited to be here for our very first episode. Alice, thank you for allowing me to participate in this particular show. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, she wasn't that happy, I can tell you, man, but I think she's okay now. I think she's
Good.
all right.
All right, man. How are we doing this? We're going to do each just give our five. You go first, then go like that, alternate.
Yeah, let's alternate. I'll do my five, you do your five.
I'm down.
All right. So I think that it would be a sin if I didn't mention a movie that was written, a book was written by Stephen King. I think that I would just, because Stephen King's the man. I've got an autographed picture of him up here, but I love Stephen King, man. That's how I did most of my book reports in school.
I love it.
I would, find the movie that there was a book to, and I would just watch the movie, and that's how I did my book report.
Yeah.
And it was fine. I think I told you it was fine until one of my teachers was a Stephen King fan, and that's how I was found out.
Mm-hmm.
So then I had to start reading, dag on it. But so my number 5 all-time favorite movie is Carrie.
Oh, awesome.
And I love that she has these abilities to do things, but now I mean the original one with Sissy Spacek and Piper Laurie and John Travolta's in the movie, as a bad guy, and also the William Katt, who played Tommy, the boy that took her there. And he was in Greatest American Hero, the TV series. Remember that? Oh,
Ralph
dude,
Hinckley, man.
That was awesome, man. That was
I
awesome.
love that show.
Yeah. But it was something that Carrie to me was scary, but the scariest part to me was her Jesus freak mother. You know what I mean? And I'm not getting religious or anything, but man, when you are grabbing your kid and throwing them in the closet because she got her period, come on, man, and making her pray, and then just the whole, that was another scene where there's somebody there. She goes to the prom, all this stuff happens, of course, and but when she gets home and she goes upstairs, she's getting ready to get a bath, and I don't even think I noticed it like the first time that I watched the movie, but her mom is standing kind of behind the door, already with knife in hand. She comes out, and Carrie's had a terrible day, man.
Mm-hmm.
She goes through the prom, she thinks everything's going great. She gets some pig blood dumped on her by John Travolta, of all people. And then she goes home, she needs comforting from her mother, and even Carrie is like, all right, I made a mistake, I will go in the closet, I need to pray, I need to do this, but mom's not having it. Mom says she's a sin, and tries to kill her, and then Carrie kills the mom, the house goes down in flames, and the end of the movie, you think it's all, and I think that was probably the original jump screen when you're sitting there and you see the grave, the girl's going to put flowers on the grave, and the hand comes up, and it's not even like it comes up real fast, but it's like, oh, but that to me, I really do think that was the first jump screen.
Carrie stands the test of time and is a true classic. So I think that's a great choice, man.
Thank you. Yeah, all
cool.
right, let's hear your number 5.
My number 5 came out in 2007 and spun off 5 different sequels and prequels in the mix of those. It's Paranormal Activity. I actually thought Paranormal Activity was pretty good. As simple as it is, it's insanely effective.
Very scary.
You know what I mean? It's a simple film, just set up, just straight filming in one, different sections of the house. But to me, it's just like the tension that just continuously builds is just, and sometimes I'm watching a scene and nothing might even happen in that scene. You know what I mean? A lot of the times there's a lot of sped up time frames and stuff like that as they're watching, but the anticipation is just killing me. You know what I mean? I thought it was crazy. I thought it was a fantastically, really well done film. And like I said, it's spun off a huge, it's created its own little franchise. Also, it's notable for saying this franchise effectively killed another horror franchise, which was Saw.
Yeah.
Saw was coming out every Halloween and then, doing really well. And then Paranormal Activity started challenging it and then effectively crushed it. And took the mantle of the horror film for the Halloween season, for a number of years. And also, I think Go ahead.
Well, I think being a paranormal investigator, I think that, when you watch that movie, it's little things happen and it just keeps escalating. Then they brought in a Ouija board, and you're just sitting there like, why are you doing that, man? And it's just
Right.
more and more. And if you're a paranormal investigator, you kind of watch that movie and you're like, no, don't do that. You don't no, don't do that either. Now you're doing it.
Right.
You just see them making the mistake. But that's a great movie, man.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And also I think what leads to the effectiveness of it is, at least for the first one, I know there was no real scripts given.
Right.
I can't speak on the rest of them, but I know for this first one that kicked it off, there wasn't any real scripts given. It was just guidelines on how to behave. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Which led to the more realism of it, I think. Like, they weren't reading scripts. They were just like, all right, now, get this across on the screen. You know what I mean? And stuff
Yeah.
like that. So it added to the realism of it, in my opinion. But yeah, that's number 5 on my list, my friend.
Well, and that's a good one because that's a found footage movie,
Yep.
and they can either do great or they can bomb. And
Exactly.
and the original one from that, and it's not on my list, but I don't know if it's on your list, but the Blair Witch Project. That's a found footage, and that was but it's not on the list, so it's not on my list, so I'm not going to talk about it. My number 4 is the 2003 remake, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Ooh.
And first of all, Toby Hooper, man, who wrote, at least wrote and directed some of all of the Texas Chainsaw Massacres.
Mhm.
And to me, Jessica Biel and other people. No, but but I thought she did great. Arlie Ermy,
For me, yep.
Arlie Ermy was Sheriff Hoyt and did a great job. And there's other people. There was a girl named, what was her name? Erica Learson.
Oh yeah.
She played Pepper, and Pepper was in Blair Witch 2, Book of Shadows.
Mm-hmm.
And but anyway, but there's something about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that that movie they keep remaking, and some of them, I think Texas Chainsaw 3D was okay. There's a new one coming out now called I think just Leatherface.
Yeah.
And then there was another one, and there's always more and more. They keep coming out, and I like each one, but for some reason this is a movie that my wife thinks I'm crazy, but I can put this movie on if I don't have anything else to do. Maybe I want to take a nap. I'll start the movie, and she hates that because they're screaming right from the beginning. They're screaming, but when the movie comes on and you've got the police talking about, or maybe it's a reporter talking about the police investigation, and they're showing the old footage, and then you get the iconic sound, the camera flash sound.
Yeah.
And then it jumps straight into some teenagers, man, and they're having a great time listening to some Leonard Skinner. They're on the way to the concert and everything, and then there's the chick walking down the road, and they're like, "Hey, let's give her a ride." Don't pick up hitchhikers. That's all I'm saying. Especially if you're in Texas, some backwood country, don't do it. So they get in the car, and then she ends up committing suicide, because they're like, "We'll take you to the hospital." And she's like, "He's a really bad man." And then she's like, "You're going the wrong way." And I was like, "Yeah, you're going the wrong way." But it just, that whole movie is awesome, man. Special effects were on key. The gore was there for me. And I'm the type, the more realistic it is, the better it is for me. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre, whether it's the 2003 or the original, or any of the other ones in between, except the one with Matthew McConaughey with the
Renee Zellweger. Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, no, dude, very good choice. I'm actually a little embarrassed. Well, I won't say anything. I'll just put it out there. It's not on my list. It should have been, because most of these films that I have on my list are something that I walked away with and I couldn't quite shake. Number 4 for me, man, is another director who I mentioned from before, James Wan, The Conjuring. This is another collaboration between him and Patrick Wilson.
Awesome
came out
movie.
2013. Yeah, Patrick Wilson, Vera from Farmiga.
Yeah.
I know I'm butchering her name, and Lily Taylor. But yeah, this is the introduction of Lorraine and Ed Warren. Again, directed by James Wan. And this is actually also first movie without his collaborator Lee Winnell that I mentioned earlier, who I should have told. Lee Winnell also played Specs in the movie. Another little quick in Insidious. Sorry, I should have mentioned that.
Okay.
As trivia. I neglected to mention. But no, but The Conjuring, man, I thought was really good. I thought it was awesome. Again, another trailer that I remember effectively with the, you know what I mean? The clapping when they were
Yeah,
playing
and
the
the hands come
game.
up. Yeah, man.
Yes, I remember that trailer, and it was like, whoo, I got the chills from that. And then seeing the scene play out in the movie was just as well done. But this movie is really notable. I mean, and again, spawned another franchise, but not
Yeah.
just, but but also mini franchises within it. You know what I mean? Because it spawned, of course, the Conjuring series, which is the main series. So then
Yeah.
this was a huge hit. And I think when it came out, it might have been the highest rated R-rated film, or at least number 2 or whatever, something like that, with opening weekend. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
freaking huge right off the bat, made a lot of money. And then, of course, it had The Conjuring 2 a couple of years later. And then Conjuring 3 was supposed to come out this past summer, but of course, the pandemic has delayed most of all, any and all films. So I think it's coming out this summer. But that being said, the mini franchises, Annabelle, which has spawned its own little trilogy. Yes. Oh, sorry.
Not too loud.
Alice.
She doesn't like her, but for whatever reason. But
I didn't realize there was a war or a vendetta
yeah,
going on. My apologies.
something.
We'll move on to the next. Forget
That's a
that one then.
great one too.
Yeah, spawned its own little set of trilogy of films. The Nun, of course.
The Nun was awesome too.
Yeah, within that franchise. And is there another one? Or that's it, isn't it? Out of that, I think that might be it.
I think that's all. The
but
Nun.
I know they're gonna. Yeah, the Nun, the Annabelle. Oh yeah, another flicks. And then they're gonna do. I think that the Conjuring 2, though, the little the tall man, whatever he was in the Conjuring 2.
That dude was creepy as hell, man.
Yeah, he's gonna get his own little spinoff. So the fact, it's just, James Wan has gone on and spun off some great horror franchises.
Yeah.
All the Insidious and Saw and the Conjuring. I mean, this guy's made a huge splash.
Do you know what the third one's going to be? But I like those because they're based on true cases, and of course they get Hollywoodized, as I call it. You have to make it better, like everything as far as that type of stuff is. But do you know what the third one's going to be about?
Oh gosh, I don't know off the top of my head what it is going to be called. I can't remember the name of the title actually.
Okay.
But it was supposed, like I said, it was definitely supposed to come out this past summer, but another movie that fell to the wayside, unfortunately.
I have an idea, and they touch on Amityville in both of those movies. As a matter of fact, they mention it, and I would love to see them, actually do one a Conjuring episode or a Conjuring movie of that. But they weren't involved in that one as much, but they weren't involved in the one where they went to, they weren't involved as much as what the movie says. But
now I do remember the name of the movie is called The Devil Made Me Do It. Conjuring 3 is going to be called that. But you mentioned the Amityville horror series.
Well, that could be the Amityville.
But they actually, I don't know if you picked up on this or not, but at the end of the first movie, they get a phone call.
Yeah.
And that is totally, the phone call they're taking is about the.
Well, if it's called The Devil Made Me Do It, horror. I mean, that's what the guy said.
That's true.
The son.
But it very well could. It very well could be about that. And, they play with time, and not play with time, but, one movie is like kind of with the Insidious films, there's part 2, and then part 3 is a prequel. You know how they do, you know what I mean? So very much Conjuring could have maybe tell us the story between part 1 and part 2, because they did get that call. And if it is telling the Amityville story, like you said, it does make sense with the title and all.
Yeah, it would be cool.
Yeah, man. So that was my number 4.
My number 3, I'll give you a hint real quick. So if you see the way televisions are nowadays, if you turn it on and you don't have anything hooked up, it's just black.
I already know it.
So if you turn on the TV back when we were growing up and it was just snowy, and then if you walk in and you see your kid sitting in front of it, and she turns around and says,
"Oh, I know." This movie made me scared of that TV snow for years. If I ever fell asleep and I woke up and I was going on, oh my goodness gracious, I could not turn that TV off fast enough, my friend.
Yeah.
Poltergeist, let me guess.
Yeah, Poltergeist, man. I had to put it on there. And it's not gory, but That's 1982, and Steven Spielberg wrote it. Toby Hooper
Yep.
directed it. So, there we are, back to Texas Chainsaw, bringing it back around again.
Yeah.
So Craig T. Nelson, Coach, Joe Beth Williams, and of course Heather O'Rourke did great in that movie. The part 2, she did great. Part 3, but I'm telling you, she's iconic. If anybody mentions Poltergeist, that they're here. I mean, it's an iconic saying. The phrase is just everywhere. And of course, there's Zelda Rubinstein, Tangina.
Yeah.
And that was awesome too. I mean, just they used real skeletons or cadavers from a morgue in the pool scene.
Yep.
And no wonder that Joe Beth is down there like screaming like crazy. But I did know when I did my research, I knew that Carol Ann passed away young. Actually, she lived to be 12. She passed away from Crohn's disease.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what she had passed away from. I just knew that she had, there's a whole thing about the curse of Poltergeist. The older sister was killed.
Yep.
And but anyway,
Dominique Dunn, I think.
Yeah, I know it's mistaken. Dominique.
Yeah, Dominique Dunn. Her brother is Griffin Dunn, who was in he played the best friend in American Werewolf in London, who gets
oh really?
It gets killed. So Griffin Dunn is a pretty notable actor. He's most recent thing that I've seen him in is This Is Us. Sorry, totally different genre than than the horror films we're talking about. But I like his sister.
I like This Is Us. Don't tell anybody
that. It's our secret, my friend.
And
Alice. Oh, don't say anything. No, it was that's his sister. But yeah, to your point, the curse of Poltergeist has, it's been around. A lot of people from that movie.
If that movie taught us anything growing up, it would be that never buy a house where there used to be a cemetery, because they lie. They did not move the graves, just the headstones.
Right. Exactly. No, they definitely did move those graves, man.
It was a good one, man.
But it was a great one. A couple things about it too. It's always been rumored that Spielberg actually directed a little bit more of that film than Toby. They had some disagreements. So you can see that effect of Spielberg being in there.
Yeah, I bet.
It's also notable that this is one of the films that was that was responsible for the creation of the PG-13 rating. People were going to see this movie. This movie was rated PG, so there was people of all ages in that film, and it got pretty scary. As we've obviously, it's on your list as number 3. You know what I mean, or number 4 in your top 5, or number 3. I'm sorry, 3. But it's number 3. But it's it was pretty scary for a lot of people in there. One of the most horrific scenes, I think, was that guy's face, starts to fall off.
Yeah, that's
mirror.
The steak on the counter with the maggots coming out of it, and
yeah, dude.
I did. I know that Steven Spielberg at first, when they brought Heather O'Rourke in, he didn't like her at first. He didn't think she read well, because he was looking for a 6-year-old, but she was 5. But she could read the script, and that impressed him. So he had her come back. And in that interview, he wanted her to scream. And he just kept on telling her, scream again, until she got to where she was crying. And at that point, I don't know if at that time he was probably like, I probably better give this kid this role now. Or it was just like, that's what I want to see.
Right.
But she also said in an interview that when she would scream and look scared, she said, I wasn't scared of ghosts. She said, I would act like I was scared because I lost my kitten. So okay. I thought that was cool. So, and I can kind of see that too, the whole, I lost my kitten.
Right.
So, which, if no one knows, Lee is in the movie that I'm making, Joe, and he's one of the detectives. So Lee, if there's a point and Joe is coming after you for whatever reason, just think of, he's going to take my kitten.
Oh, no,
just go that way.
Why would you even not? Now you've got me scared already. They're thinking about my kitten being taken, man. Why would you do that?
yeah.
No, dude. Yeah, Poltergeist, great choice. Definitely a scary film. Like I said, there's been many nights. When I was growing up, if I woke up with that was in the background, I almost broke my neck trying to turn that off. So fantastic. All right, sweet, man. So all right, gonna keep on going, guys. For me, number 3 was, again, a movie that came out in 2012. And again, I left the theater feeling very disturbed. It is Sinister. starring Ethan Hawke and directed by Scott Derrickson. Introduced to us a new villain, I guess, supernatural villain, the Bagul, or the
Yeah.
Bagul, I think it was.
Creepy as
Um,
anything, man.
Dude, very. This actually, I too remember. I think we actually tried to go see a Paranormal Activity film this Halloween. I think it was what was it? 2011. No, 2012 was when it came out. Is what I said. And it's I tried to go see Paranormal Activity film. Maybe that was out during that time. It was sold out. So we went to go see Sinister. And I was like, oh man, now we gotta go see Sinister. And I was like, oh my God, we saw Sinister. It was it was scary. It was
Yeah.
terrifying to me. The premise is, I guess, that this, well, what it is the writer goes, Ethan Hawke, played by Ethan Hawke, and he's going and he's investigating, I guess, this family's death, and he uncovers these Super 8 films, and he's watching them, and there's like 6 or 7 that he watches throughout the movie, and they all start off. What's so horrific about it is they all start off with these fun family events. You know what I mean? And the families just loving each other and having so much fun, and then this film splices, and then the next thing you know, you see the most horrific, terrible deaths for these families. You know what I mean? There's one that shows the family's all tied up, and it's done by a family member. Is what it is. It's done by usually the kid, the nice little cherubic 12-year-old kid who we just saw loving the family a little bit ago, and or whatever. And you see him, you see the family. The one specifically comes to mind where they're all tied up in lawn pool furniture. And they're all tied up and they can't move, and then they throw something in, and they're all tied in together in the chairs, and they all go in, and they're all drowned. Or they're one where they all, he knocks them all out and gives them something to fall asleep, and they wake up and they're all buried in there up to their heads in the dirt, and then they run the lawnmower. Oh, it's just like the
Yeah,
most
that's a crazy one there.
horrible things that are happening. And then again, what makes a good horror movie to me is, like I mentioned before, in Insidious, for instance, there was no really happy ending, and in this, there's no really happy ending for this family either, man. Sorry for spoilers out there, but it's just, it's terrible.
Well, what was the one part I think where he was watching the film and he stopped it because he saw the guy out in the weed in the bushes or whatever, and
Yeah.
it's just like a still frame, and then like a dude just like turns his head. It's like, oh,
And
that's
looks at him.
creepy.
Yes.
That's creepy.
There was so many things, and their boy, the son, dealing with night terrors in the film. There's a scene where he comes out
Out of the box,
he's
man.
in this box, and he's like, I was like, oh my, what is, dude, that
Hey,
movie.
night terrors, sleepwalking is fine, but when you come out of a box like that,
Yes.
that's I'm just like, I'm gonna call my wife in to take care of this one.
Exactly.
That was creepy, man. All right, so I'm going to jump into number 2 with the scariest movie. Well, the movie that scared me the most when I was a kid, and when I rewatch it now, I still have not nightmares, but just it brings up that feeling from when I was a kid, and that would have
nightmares.
to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have nightmares. What are you talking about?
No, not me.
Exactly.
But it would have to be The Exorcist. 1973, directed by William Friedkin. Is that how you say that? And Linda Blair plays Reagan. And let's see, who else is it? Max von Sydow, Father Marin. Come on.
Yep.
But and Ellen Burstyn. Is that how you say her
she
name?
Played the mother.
Is the mother.
Burstyn, yeah.
But that movie is actually, it has like a few little things going on around it. And the whole, at the beginning, you see where they find the little statuette of the demon there. And right from the beginning, it's like, all right, well, what's going, and I think that's just to kind of show you what's going on, like who this demon is in that you're going to be seeing here soon. And I don't know if you got Reagan right back here in the corner beside me, but she kind of hangs out. But that's another example of don't mess with a Ouija board. Right. Captain Howdy is not Captain Howdy.
Yeah.
That's he is not there to amuse you. But there's the whole thing with the head spinning, and it's little things that start off like she comes downstairs and she wets herself in front of all the people, and they think she's just sick. And this is another, based on a true story, although in real life it was a boy.
Mhm.
And which the Warrens actually did a little bit of investigating with that. But that's a great story all by itself. And I bet one that will end up in the Conjuring series too. I
I can imagine
guarantee
it
it.
probably would, you know.
But for this one, it's just something about, first of all, it's a kid, a innocent child, and you're watching what's happening to this kid, and the mother, who is kind of she's busy doing her own thing, but she loves her daughter, but there's nothing she can do to help her, and she's taking her to the doctors, and they're running all these tests on her, and then she's trying to explain what's going on, and they're like, oh well, she's probably got the flu or something. Like, the flu don't make the bed shake or raise off of the ground,
Right.
you know and just they run all these tests on her trying to figure out what's going on. And then finally she turns to the church, and once the church gets involved, it's one of those things that that's even the priest that comes in, he's like, oh, I don't believe it, because he takes the water in there and it's not holy water, but he tells her it is. And I don't know, it's just like this demon is conniving. And the whole time that when they say that, what demon is it, and this one is saying, well, your kid saying it's Satan. Most people say they're possessed by that, a certain demon or something. But this that movie, man, it was the first one, and I was young when I watched it, but it really scared me. It really did. And it's one of those things when they flash up, based on a true story.
Yeah.
Once they go there, and they, you get older, and you realize that they have to change it to make it more interesting a little bit. But the green pea soup being spat out, and then she kills both of the priest. It's, well, she doesn't, the demon does, but killed both of them, man.
Yeah.
That's not a happy ending either. Maybe for the little
No.
girl, but not for these priests.
No, not at all. Well, cool, man. Awesome. Obviously, very, very cool choice. And I need to watch that
Thank
movie. I
you.
will. I will be.
All the way through.
I know. I know.
It
And I
is
will.
long and it's kind of slow at the beginning, but it gets
See,
better.
guys, I'll just put it out there. I didn't turn it off because it was slow. I turned it off because I was like, I'm not watching this by myself here at 11:30 at night when everybody else is sleeping.
So you haven't even seen the crucifix masturbation scene?
No, I have not seen that.
All right.
And today's Sunday. We shouldn't be talking about such blasphemous things. No.
Yeah.
Please forgive me for saying that, for being part of that conversation. No.
Yeah.
All right, guys. No, number two for me is a movie that I feel is a classic, dude. I love watching this movie over and over and over again. I totally can. I'm talking about The Thing, directed by John
Yeah.
Carpenter in 1982, came out, starring Kurt Russell. Him and Kurt have done quite a few movies together, actually. But he played MacReady in this movie. Kurt did. I just love it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
The special effects for the time were pretty gruesome and horrific.
Awesome job on special effects for that
The
time.
paranoia that's in this film is just so keeps you on the edge because especially for the first time you don't see it, but even holds up. Even though I know who is who and what is what and who the thing is, it's still the tension that just builds. We don't know who to trust. They literally don't know who could be the thing or who is not the thing, and then they try to do the test, and when the test is being done, when they're testing the blood and putting the heat in
I
there,
know.
and it's just like they're tied up and they're like, oh my god, they can't get away because they're all tied up.
Yeah, and I knew who it was going to be, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? It's like, it's definitely that guy. Because I don't want to give much of that. That's a movie that if you haven't seen it, you have to see that movie. It's just classic. But when when they're going through and they're trying to figure out who it is, and they heat up that piece of coat hanger or whatever it was, and they're just sticking it in there, and man, I thought for sure it was going to be that one guy.
Yeah,
and it wasn't. And then it was another guy that I would have never expected. It's like, oh, and then it was, never mind. I don't want to.
Well, you know what? I think I know exactly. I mean, there's a character actor who we don't necessarily see as for us of a certain age again, he was in a show called Our House.
Yeah.
He's the most tenderest, nicest guy you could
I
ever
was
see.
hoping it was going to be him, man. You know?
Yeah, old Wilford Brimley. But
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah. So no, it was. But I actually really just love it. I think it's great, man. The movie didn't find a lot of success when it very first came out. It was actually dominated
Diabetes.
that summer. Yeah, it was.
That was awesome that he was in that movie.
Yeah, man, for sure. Old Wilford. But yeah, it didn't do very well. It came out in summer of 1982. It was dominated by another film that had dealt with an alien in 1982, E.T., which was a
Oh,
slightly
well,
nicer alien than the thing was.
but it has
Yeah.
a cult following
Oh
now.
my
And
gosh, yes.
anybody that likes horror movies, they just love the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Great choice, Lee. Great choice.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. All right, dude. So here we are at the number one
Number
slot.
one, all the way up. And
what do you have, my friend? I can't wait to hear it.
all-time favorite horror movie. And it would have to be 2003, Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses. They even wore a little Easter egg today to show you, man. But Rob Zombie, I've always liked Rob Zombie back with White Zombie. His music, I loved it, man. And when I heard he was making a movie, I said, well, it's going to be great, because if you ever watched any of his old videos, all of them where he used classic horror monsters in it, and just all this crazy stuff. And it's like, man, even before he made the movie, I said, man, he should do a movie. And when he made this one, I couldn't wait to see it. And it's another one of those stories where don't go driving in the backwood country of Texas, man. It just doesn't make sense. How many movies do they have to make before people just say that? And like the Appalachian Mountains, just stay away from them. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those things. But of course, it's got Captain Spaulding in it. Start right from the beginning, man. You start in. Remember how we were just talking about the Captain 20 at nighttime with all the horror movies, and that's the first clip you see is Dr. Wolfenstein, little clip like turn in to watch this, and then it cuts to a clip and you're at a gas station and they're pulling in, and there's a sheriff sitting outside, so you don't really think anything's going to happen. And then the sheriff pulls off, a couple of guys go in to rob the store, and it just happens to be Captain Spaulding's place, and he's talking to another friend of his, and they go in to rob him. They think there's something, and the guy's like, hey, I'm gonna count to 5, and or maybe to 3, whatever it was, and he's like, or I'm gonna shoot you, I'm gonna splatter your face paint all over the back wall or whatever. And he's like, 1, he's F your mama. And they're like, what? And then he's like, 2, F your sister. And it was like, what? This dude don't care at all, man. And then like they of course kill the people trying to break in. But and then it's so Sid Haig, Captain Spaulding, and you got Bill Moseley's in it, and he plays Otis, and Sherry Moon Zombie is in it. She plays Baby Firefly. But there's people like Chris Hardwick in it, and Rainn Wilson from The Office, man. Like, what's up? That was awesome. And he's, doesn't really play that many funny parts in this movie.
No.
But and then again, Karen Black is Mother Firefly. And I really think that brought her back around and put her name in it and stamped it that, hey, Scream Queen for sure. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And of course, Rainn Wilson and Chris Hardwick, when they first meet up, they go to Captain Spaulding's place, and they're just traveling, trying to find like spots where murders happen or urban legends and stuff like that. And they find out about local legends, Dr. Satan, and that leads them down the road. They finally talk Captain Spaulding into telling them where it's at. And at first he wasn't even going to tell them. So if he had just not told them, they could have just left and they probably would have been alive, for the rest of the movie.
Right.
But, they end up at the Firefly house and all hell breaks loose. And I will say that I think the ending could have been done a little bit different. I know that Rob Zombie went through a couple of different
drafts.
Yeah, like production companies or something during that. And couldn't really film the ending the way that he wanted it. And I think it was kind of rushed. And so the whole and again, to me, the more realistic a movie is, the scarier it is. And that movie could be real. I mean, the whole part from meeting Captain Spaulding to picking up a hitchhiker. There you go again. Don't
Right.
pick up hitchhikers. And
Exactly.
this was even worse than the last one in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. She committed suicide, bad enough. But then you pick up baby Firefly. She takes you back to the house where they're going to kill you and probably eat you, along with other things they do first.
My number one would be The Shining. To me, The Shining is one of the best horror films out there, man. It came out in 1980, directed by Stanley Kubrick. Of course, stars Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, and Scatman Crothers. Also, can't forget him. But I thought it was great. I loved that movie. It totally different. It has to be said, totally different than the novel. Of course, even though I think it's one of the best horror movies, I've read the novel, and of course it is slightly different. Stephen King didn't even like
No
of it, because it's totally, and I could see why. I mean, because Jack Torrance in the film was, even though he had his demons with alcohol, he loved his family. He did love his family, and that yes, he done some terrible things as an alcoholic to them and stuff, but he did deep down love them. Jack, and the Overlook slowly turned him crazy as he was battling his demons with alcohol. Jack Nicholson's character is batshit right off the bat. You know what I mean?
Iconic, man. That's another one. Like, what was it? My number 3 with it. They're here in The Shining.
Here's Johnny.
Here's Johnny. Yep.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So it was. I really enjoyed it. Really great. This tension that builds again, as just with the scenes of the boy riding his 3-wheeler or tricycle or whatever it was through the hallways.
Man.
Just that, the ongoing of that, and it was just the tension that builds. Like I said, it's not a lot of jump scares in that film. It's just the
I don't think you really needed them, man. It was scary. And I don't know who did the music for that movie, but just there was like it was just a low, almost you could hear like a heartbeat, and like the Overlook was a lot. Yeah, man,
something like that. You know what I mean?
Crazy, man.
Yeah, it was great. Well, dude, Jason, all fantastic choices, my friend.
Yours too.
Thank you very much. I got to admit, I was a little worried, like I said, that I weren't going to hold a candle to yours. But thank you very much for.
I was surprised. I thought you did a good job, a really good job. I was surprised. No, they were good movies. And a couple of them I considered for mine.
Oh, well, nice, man.
Well, The Shining. I was, when I started looking at, I knew I had to have one from Stephen King because I love Stephen King movies, and I went with Carrie, I think, because I saw that one before The Shining, and the whole part about her mother. But I love The Shining. That's another long movie, man. You got to have time to sit down and watch that one.
You most certainly do. Well, guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. We are going to definitely, be coming at you as often as we can, sharing what we feel are our top 5 lists. They're going to vary all the time. We're going to do what we did right now. I thought this would be a nice first one for us to say, our top 5 horror movies of all time. We're going to do our top 5 sci-fi. We'll do our top 5 slashers. It's just we're excited to share with you guys, our favorite movies.
Definitely. Lee, thank you so much for coming on hosting with me, man. I couldn't ask for a better person to be on here with me, man. Really.
I enjoyed it immensely, my friend. Looking forward to the next few shows for sure.
Me too. So from BT Haunts, we will see you next time.
Later, guys.
Remember.